Pete Moore, Mart TV. Let's talk about the 17 HMR, Hornady Magnum rimfire, which I consider one of those radical and effective rimfire cartridges of the 20th century. 2-2 long rifle will always be with us. I'm not sure about 2-2 Magnum, but I think 17 HMR will also always be with us. Designed by a guy called Dave Emery, who was the chief ballistician of Hornady in 2002, or before. It was actually launched in 2002. Originally fired a 17 grain Hornady VMAX bullet at around 2,500 feet per second, which roughly produced 250 foot-pounds of energy, which if you compare it to a 2.2 LR is pretty good. I must admit that the 2.2 Magnum, though slower, can carry its energy further, but I've never found the 2.2 Magnum that shoots particularly well over 100 yards. The HMR just shoots. I've never found an HMR gun, no matter what the make, provided it's obviously properly and sensibly made, that doesn't shoot well. You know, if your HMR is shooting an inch or over, then you may want to have a look at it, because pretty much they tend to shoot about ½ inch or thereabouts, or at worst 0.75. Later on, they became incredibly popular, and ammunition started coming from all directions. I've got 4 examples here. So I say now that the one I use the most is the 17 grain VMAX load. That's the first one that came out, and it's just brilliant. Hornady later on produced a 20 grain hollow point. It was really designed to be a little bit stronger, because this is a very frangible bullet, a little bit stronger, just to perhaps not damage so much meat. I used it for a bit, and it was effective, but it just, to me, didn't quite have it, so I went to back to the 17. They also produced a 15.5 grain non-lead called the NTX, and it's a ballistic tip, copper jacket, but inside, instead of lead, was a sintered tin core, and it was built originally for the US States. It didn't allow lead for certain forms of hunting. The only problem with that, I found, is that it didn't kill well, and I found it didn't expand. You know, the 17 grain or the 20 grain, you hit animal at any distance and it does the business. First time I took this out with the NTX in it, a big old fat buck rabbit got up about 80 yards, just sat there, and I thought I'll put the bullet behind his shoulder. I just want to see how effective it is on a body shot. And he took the shot, some fluff came off, and he just turned and ran, and I never found him. And then I had similar experiences with it, and it was as accurate as a 17, and a good ½ inch gun, but I concluded that it's got to be a headshot or nothing. So Winchester do a 17 grain load, which is similar to the Hornady type. They also do a 20 grain, which again is similar. Federal make it, CCI make it, a number of companies make it. That's not a problem. Rifle-wise, so this is mine. This is the 77-17 all-weather. This stock is not Ruger. It's something I had put on later on. They came with stainless steel barrel, heavy stainless steel barrel action with a grey laminate stock. When I had mine, first of all, had the barrel cut to 20 inches from about 24. My Riflecraft threaded, and they pillar bedded and synthetic bedded the grey laminate stock. This is a beautiful thumb hole to my measurements exactly. Again, pillar and synthetic bedded. Ruger, though they still do the 17 HMR, they only do it in their American series, which is their not budget rifle, but it's a less expensive rimfire, because the average 77 is now about over £1,000, which is a lot of dosh. I mean, it's a lot of rifle. So this one's mine, and it's done a lot of work. I think I bought it in 2004. And so just do the math, that's quite a bit of time. I shudder to think how many thousands of rounds I put through it. The only problem I had with this, when I initially got it, was it would shoot ½ inch, and then after 16 rounds, almost on the money, the groups would expand. It would go from a ½ inch gun at 16 to like a sort of 4 inch group at about sort of 20, 21. I eventually nailed it down to the fact that it needed cleaning after every 16 shots, which sounds a bit awful, and it was at the time. But after about 250, 300 rounds, it stopped doing it, and it's been good ever since. I keep it clean, and it just shoots. But it's a great cartridge. No matter what rifle you get with it, it just shoots. And what it does, it extends your operating distance by 100%. This takes you right out to 200 yards and a bit more. Shot many rabbits and hares at 200 yards with it. So you can sit, if you've got troublesome rabbits, you don't have to get in close and spook them as you shoot them. You can sit back at 200 yards with a decently set up rifle like this one is, the moderator on, and you can snipe them. If you have a need for it, which is really small game, pest control, that sort of thing. Plus I've shot foxes with this. It's not an ideal fox round, but if a fox is close enough and I keep it under 100 and you put it in the right place, it'll put them down. I'm shooting not well past, but past my maximum range. I usually stop it at 200 yards, and I've shot a lot of rabbits and hares at that distance, and on a good night or a day I can actually head shoot them, and the gun at 200, you put it on paper, it's shooting around about an inch, which I think is good enough for a little tiny bullet like that. This is pretty much my usual hunting rig. Sort of BDC type scope, always useful. Side parallax again. My ammunition of choice has always been Hornady 17 HMR, 17 grain VMAX. And for my sort of arming, I've got a little butt bag rest here which helps support. Decent pair of laser range finding binos. These are my old Leicas. This is zeroed at 100 yards, 110 yards, sorry, and I've got all my scope dope on there, so I can just dial it as I need it. Pretty much 17 HMR is sort of shoots flat enough out to 120 yards not to bother with too much correction, so you can eyeball it. But as soon as you start pushing it past that, the drop off is noticeable like any rimfire cartridge. For example, say I ping this at 228 yards and drop here is 14.7 inches, which would require, according to my ballistic package, 24 clicks to hold it up. I've been shooting earlier on. The thing is that because it's a really hot day, it's probably 24, 25 degrees, ammo will shoot faster because it's just everything's just hotter. So I noticed this was shooting about 2 inches high, so I had to wind it back down. The HMR is badly windily affected because it's a little tiny bullet, and I would not recommend making any long shots if there's, you know, serious wind. I've got a wind blowing from the left, and it's doing, I'd say, about 2 or 3 miles an hour, and just again firing at my target 228 yards, that's putting the point of impact to the right quite significantly by about 3 or 4 inches. So all I did was, this has got a mil dot hash reticle, so I just aimed off a mil, and that pretty much put it back on. Or you could just click in the correction the other way because I've got wind dope on this as well. But that's it. This is a great rifle. I've had it for years and it really works well for me, and price wise it is at the top end of the HMR spectrum. There are so many good HMR rifles out there now, and they don't cost a fortune. Caesar makes some great stuff. Savage, a bit ugly, but they certainly work. Tikka do some good stuff with their T1X, things like that. So you've got a lot of choice. So and the prices, it fluctuates probably between, I don't know, sort of 500-600 and just over 1,000. But as I said before, it's all about the cartridge and the barrel. This has got a medium weight barrel or heavy, and it really does shoot well, even after all its age. So let's put a few rounds through it. So I'm using the BX15 banana mag. It's just a lot easier for putting in and taking out over the flush one. Flush mag's fine, it works, feeds just as well, and in some situations it's better because nothing protrudes, but if I'm shooting off the bonnet, then it's really ideal for me. Okay, here we go. And it's bloody hot. And that's it. It is hot. I just burnt my elbow on my landing bit. Anyway, I hope you liked what you saw. I hope it was useful to you, which is the main thing. If you did, tell your mates, support the site. And then if you want to speak to me about anything, it's pmore.shootingsports@gmail.com, and I'm happy to hear from you, and if I can get anything in or answer any questions, or one of the crew can, please feel free to contact me. Anyway, good shooting and be safe.